Difficult to tell a family that the daughter is no longer alive. It was behind a church. She was located in a septic system. We were comfortable that Summer was in fact in the body that we had located.
Can you say if Mrs. Inman confessed?
We can say that she did provide information to the location of the body. Some information indicates that at least at one time they may have been members of this church.
The trio spent close to an hour and a half cleaning out and vacuuming the automobile, although they never washed the outside of the car. Instead, they went shopping for a full set of tires.
The tires were like new, so I didn't know why he was wanting to change them.
Akron officers, with information obtained, supported by the FBI, conducted a search warrant of the Inman home in Akron, Ohio. This search revealed significant evidence against the Inmans. It would appear that she was killed very quickly that evening. We have some information in talking with Mrs. Inman that I can't get into, so we're still looking into that, just how long, if in fact this was pre-planned.
We are taking your calls for those of you just joining us. 25-year-old Summer Inman, we believe, is the female. The body found stuffed deep underground in a church septic tank. This after she was snatched out of a local bank parking lot. Joining me there on the scene where the female body was found, Nelsonville, Ohio, is Jewel Kavanagh, the friend of Summer Inman.
Yes.
Ma'am, thank you again for being with us. I'm interested to find out what you know of or think of these in-laws and her relationship with them. And also, Jewel, why would the husband, even though he was estranged, go along with something like this?
Well, they were kind of clannish, for lack of a better word. It was Willie and Summer and the children, Willie's mom and dad, and then the older Inman's parents sometimes too. They lived together here in Logan for a while. Then they all moved to Florida for a few years. Then they all moved back to Vinton County and lived together, and they were just very clannish, and so they were always together, and there wasn't a lot of like Sandy and Summer. They were the only ones that they really socialized with. Summer was the only friend that Sandy had. They were not allowed to have a lot of interaction with people outside of that family unit.
Now, when you say Sandy, you're referring to Summer's mother-in-law, Sandra K. Inman, correct?
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, if they were not allowed to interact, how did you get to know them?
Well, I've known Summer since she was born. We've gone to church together. My husband and I were her youth leaders. I did the music at their wedding. I was at her wedding shower. I taught the senior high class on Sunday mornings and took them on many activities. I was going through my youth group pictures and posting a few on Facebook for some of the young people that had been in the same youth group. And I just never realized how many pictures of Summer and Willie that I had in my collection. But I've just known them. I've known Summer all of her life, and her mother and father.
How did she get hooked up with someone, this guy, her husband, and his family, that controlled their every move?
Well, see, I don't think it was that way when they first got married. You see photos, and they looked so happy when they first met and were married. And I think this is something that changed over time.
In fact, we are showing those wedding photos right now. Joining us is a very dear friend of Summer Inman, knew her since she was born, Jewel Kavanagh. Jewel, again, thank you for being with us and braving the elements there to join us. This is just a lot for everybody to take in, that this young 25-year-old mom of 3 was not only murdered, but then stuffed down the church septic tank and left there.
Just unimaginable.
What about the children, Jewel? What about her children? Where are they tonight?
Oh, they're with their grandparents, with Summer's mom and dad, and trust me, they are being so well taken care of. They really are. Church family, friends, and family have really just gathered around them and are helping take care of them.
We are taking your calls, including Jewel, who is standing by there in the church grounds, out to Cindy in West Virginia. Hi, Cindy.
Hi, Nancy. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you for calling, dear. What's your question?
Well, is the mother-in-law saying that she was, like, forced to participate in the crime, seeing how she's given out the, information?
That is the gist of what I'm getting. Joe Gomez, what do you know?
Yeah, Nancy, that's more or less it, isn't it? I mean, she struck some sort of deal with police, mother-in-law did, and then led them to this very grisly grave of this beautiful 25-year-old mother stuffed in a septic tank. I mean, for goodness sakes, who knows if the mother-in-law just couldn't live with herself any longer, or if she was afraid of a scarier sentence. But whatever the case, she may have sold out her son, and not only her son, but her husband as well, to negotiate some kind of presumably a plea deal with police, Nancy.
To save her own skin. That's what
It would
this is
seem as
all
though
about.
that would be the case.
Isn't it true that Ellie just said that they do they have the death penalty there in Ohio?
Yes, they do, Nancy.
And the mode is?
Is injection, and there is currently a woman on death row.
And that would be?
That woman's name, I'm sorry, it escapes me right now, but she was convicted of conspiring with another man to kill her husband for life insurance money.
And isn't it true, Ellie, that in Ohio, kidnapping is one of the aggravating factors under which you can get the death penalty?
Yeah, that's right. If it's in the commission of or fleeing from a kidnap or to cover up a kidnapping, those are all aggravating factors for death penalty.
Which would absolutely apply here. With me is Ellie Justad. Okay, back to Jewel joining us there on the church grounds. I'm referring to you by your first name so I don't bungle your last name. I believe it's Cavaney.
That's fine, sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Miss Cavaney, I want to talk to you again about the relationship. How a husband could be so intertwined with his family. They talk him in to murder. What about this father-in-law who appears to be the ringleader?
Well, I think that's exactly what it is. And, I think that Sandy Inman, the mother-in-law, I think she just, over the years, has lost the ability to think for herself, make choices. I think she has just been so controlled by him. And I said all along since this happened that once she got out from underneath his control and knew that he could not get to her any longer, that she would talk. Because even though she's being called a monster-in-law, I mean, I've been in an abusive relationship many years ago, and I know what it's like to lose your voice. And I just prayed that she would eventually, once she knew she was safe and not, couldn't be hurt by him any longer, that she would talk, and she did.
To Sergeant Thomas Rich, founder of AlwaysConnected.org, joining us out of New York. Sergeant, thank you for being with us. I think one of the things that really tripped them up is the fact that cell tracking showed they were somewhere other than where they said they were. Their attorney told cops they were with the Crown Vic, broken down on the interstate near Cleveland, near the time of the kidnapping. As it turned out, the cell phone placed them right there in Logan at the time of the abduction.
Right, Nancy, that's crucial because you can give whatever excuse you want, but as you hit a cell phone and you ping it, it's going to locate you almost to the exact pinpoint place. So no matter what you say, the cell phone does not lie.
And Sergeant Rich, this also shows how quickly police can turn around the pings off those cell phone towers, does it not?
Oh, absolutely. And it's almost to the second. I mean, having cases in the past where I can track a missing person, just from text messaging, you can hit it from phones as well.
Summer was, in fact, the person, the body that we had located was very difficult to go with this case and make contact with her family each day, not knowing what has happened to their daughter.